You know what hurts the most? It's not the betrayal. It's the moment you realize the people you trusted were the ones who wanted to see you fail. They weren't just careless, they were intentional. Every smile they gave you, every kind word was a mask hiding their true intentions. They thought their betrayal would break you. They thought their lies, their actions would leave you weak, defeated, and powerless. But here's what they didn't expect. They didn't destroy you. They built something they can't control. Every word they spoke, every move they made was a push. A push that didn't knock you down, it pushed you to become something they were never ready for. They wanted you to crumble. They wanted to see you hurt. But instead, they created something far stronger than they ever imagined. This isn't what you wanted, but this is who you are now. And now they'll meet the version of you that's stronger, sharper, and untouchable. This is the beast they forced you to become. And now they'll live with the regret of ever pushing you to this point. It didn't happen all at once, did it? The betrayal, the disrespect, it started small, almost unnoticeable. Little moments that didn't seem like much at the time. A comment here, a lie there. But over time, those moments grew into something big. At first, you trusted them. Why wouldn't you? They were supposed to be the ones who had your back. They were the ones you gave your time to, your loyalty, maybe even your love. And they knew that. They used it. They saw your kindness, your patience, and thought it made you easy to manipulate. They smiled to your face while they whispered behind your back. They took your trust and twisted it, turning it into a weapon. Every word they spoke, every action they took was calculated. And when the moment came, they didn't hesitate to cut you down. And when the truth came out, it hit you like a storm. You didn't just lose them, you lost the version of yourself that believed in them. It wasn't just betrayal. It was the weight of realizing they never cared. They thought you wouldn't notice. They thought you wouldn't do anything. And when you didn't react the way they expected, they laughed. They thought your silence meant they'd won. They thought you had nothing left. But what they didn't see, what they could never see, was what was happening beneath the surface. Every word they spoke, every insult they threw, every ounce of disrespect they showed wasn't breaking you. It was pushing you. While they celebrated, while they mocked, while they convinced themselves they had won, you were changing. Every wound they left was building you into something they would never understand. They thought they'd crushed you. They thought they'd erased you. But all they did was set the stage for your transformation. Because every action they took, every plan they made, wasn't the end of your story, it was the beginning of something they'll regret for the rest of their lives. And then came your response, silence. Not a single word, no shouting, no accusations, no desperate attempts to explain yourself. Just silence. That's what they weren't ready for. They expected chaos. They expected you to break, to scream, to fight back in a way they could use against you. But instead, you gave them nothing. And that nothing? It was louder than any words you could have spoken. At first, they didn't care. They told themselves your silence was weakness. They thought it meant you had nothing to say, nothing to fight for. They laughed at it. They laughed at you. But as the days turned into weeks, something started to shift. That silence they once mocked began to feel heavier. It wasn't just the absence of your words, it was the absence of your energy. They realized you weren't just silent, you were gone. And that emptiness, it started to eat away at them. They began to wonder, why aren't they fighting back? Why aren't they trying to explain? What are they planning? Your silence wasn't just an absence, it was a mirror that forced them to look at themselves without the distraction of your reaction. Without your words to argue against, they were left alone with their own actions. And those actions, they weren't easy to face. They started to question everything. They replayed every word they said, every move they made, trying to figure out where it all went wrong. But the answer wasn't in their memory. It was in your silence. Because your silence wasn't weakness. It was control. It was power. It was a declaration that you didn't need their approval, their explanations, or their fake apologies. While they were consumed by their thoughts, you were free. Free from their games, their manipulation, their drama. You were building something better, something stronger, something they couldn't touch. Your silence was more than a response, it was a transformation. It was your way of taking back your power. And the more they thought about it, the more they realized they weren't in control anymore. They didn't expect you to walk away without a fight. They didn't expect you to stand tall without their validation. But that's exactly what you did. You didn't fight their battles, didn't play their games, didn't let them drag you down to their level. And that's what scared them the most. Every day, your silence grew louder. Every moment they spent thinking about you was a reminder that they didn't know you at all. They thought they could control you, but now they see the truth. You're stronger than they ever imagined. Your silence wasn't surrender. It was victory. It showed them, and it showed you, that you didn't need their noise to prove your worth. And now, every time they think of you, that silence will remind them of everything they lost. They expected you to crumble, but instead you rose. They expected you to beg, but instead you walked away. And that, my friend, is the loudest answer you could have given. At first, they brushed it off. Your silence seemed insignificant to them. They convinced themselves that you had nothing to say, that you were too weak to respond. They thought they had won. But silence has a way of growing. It's not just the absence of words, it's a presence. It lingers, filling the spaces they thought would remain empty. And for them, your silence became something they couldn't escape. In the beginning, they felt untouchable. They carried on with their lives, laughing, mocking, telling themselves you didn't matter. But as time passed, that silence started to feel different. It wasn't just quiet, it was loud, it was sharp, it was heavy. At night, when the world was still, your silence was there. It crept into their thoughts, replaying everything they said, everything they did. They began to wonder if they had gone too far. They began to question themselves in ways they never had before. Why didn't they respond? Why didn't they fight back? What are they planning? And those questions, they weren't easy to answer, because without your reaction to distract them, they were left with nothing but their own action. They had to face themselves, their lies, their betrayal, their arrogance. Your silence wasn't just haunting them, it was exposing them. It was holding up a mirror they couldn't look away from. And in that reflection, they saw the truth they had been avoiding. They were the problem. They tried to justify it. They told themselves you deserved it, that they were in the right. But those justifications didn't hold up, not against the weight of their own guilt. Guilt has a way of digging in. It starts small, a quiet whisper in the back of their mind. But the more they ignore it, the louder it gets. Every time they tried to brush it aside, it came back strong. They started to feel it in ways they couldn't ignore. The things they once enjoyed didn't feel the same. The people they surrounded themselves with didn't distract them anymore. Even in moments of happiness, that silence was there, reminding them of what they'd done. They couldn't escape it. Every time they heard your name, saw something that reminded them of you, or even thought about the past, it all came rushing back. And that silence, the silence they once laughed at, was now the loudest thing in their lives. It wasn't just guilt that haunted them, it was fear. Fear of what you might be doing, fear of what you might say, fear of the person you were becoming without them. Because here's the thing about silence. It leaves them with nothing to hold on to. No arguments to win, no fights to control, just the crushing weight of their own action. And the more they thought about it, the more they realized they had no power over you. They never did. Your silence wasn't weakness, it was strength. It was a reminder that you didn't need them. And that, my friend, is the one thing they can't handle. Knowing that they don't matter anymore. Knowing that their words, their actions, their lies, none of it could stop. Your silence didn't just haunt them, it consumed them. It became the one thing they couldn't ignore, no matter how hard they tried. And while they were stuck in their guilt, their regret, their fear, you were free. Free to grow, free to move forward, free to become everything they'll never be. And that freedom? That's what will haunt them for the rest of their lives. While they were stuck in their guilt and fear, you were rising. They thought they had crushed you, but all they did was teach you how to stand tall. Every insult, every betrayal, every attempt to tear you down became the bricks you used to rebuild yourself. You didn't just survive, you thrived. You didn't stay in the shadow of their actions. You stepped into the light of your own strength. They thought they'd erased you. They thought they'd left you broken, unable to recover. But they didn't see what was happening behind the silence. While they were busy feeling victorious, you were transforming. You started to see things clearly. You realized their actions didn't define you. Their betrayal wasn't a reflection of your worth, it was a reflection of their lack of character. And when you understood that, everything changed. You stopped giving them power over you. You stopped caring about their opinions, their validation, or their approval. You realized you didn't need it. You never did. Instead, you turned inward. You looked at the pain they caused and decided it wouldn't control you. You took that pain and made it your strength. You used it as fuel to grow into someone they could never touch. Your growth wasn't loud or dramatic, it didn't need to be. It was in the way you carried yourself, the way you moved forward without looking back. It was in the quiet moments where you chose to keep building, even when it was hard. Every step you took was proof of your resilience. Every moment you chose to rise was a reminder that you were stronger than they ever imagined. And now, when they see you, they don't see the person they tried to destroy. They see the person you've become. They see the strength in your eyes, the confidence in your steps, the calm in your silence. They see someone who doesn't need them, someone who doesn't even think about them anymore. And that's what scares them the most. Your strength isn't just about rising above them, it's about proving to yourself that you're capable of so much more than they ever gave you credit for. You've built a version of yourself they can't reach, can't control, and can't even understand. You didn't just overcome their actions, you turned them into something powerful. You used every moment of pain as a stepping stone to something greater. They thought they were in control, but now they see the truth. Their actions didn't destroy you. They didn't stop you. They only made you strong. And while they sit there trapped in their own regret, you're moving forward. You're building a life they'll never be a part of. You're achieving things they'll never understand. Your growth isn't about revenge, it's about freedom. It's about proving to yourself that no matter what they did, you're still standing, you're still here, and you're better than ever. They thought they were writing the end of your story, but all they did was give you the tools to write a new one. And this story, it's yours to tell. So keep building, keep growing, keep rising. Let them live with the regret of what they lost while you live with the strength of what you've gained. Because in the end, they didn't break you, they built you into the person you were always meant to be. And then, the moment comes, the realization, the regret, the understanding of what they've truly done. At first, they convinced themselves you'd stay the same, that you'd remain broken, stuck in the shadow of their actions. But when they see you now standing taller, stronger, and more focused than ever, it hits. You didn't just survive, you didn't just move on. You became someone they don't recognize, someone they can't touch, someone who no longer needs them. They thought they had power over you, but now they see the truth. They never did. Your silence wasn't surrender, it was the beginning of something they couldn't comprehend. They'll try to rationalize it, tell themselves it wasn't that bad, that their actions didn't really hurt you. But when they look at you, when they see the strength in your eyes and the calm in your presence, they'll know the truth. You're not the person they betrayed. You're not the person they disrespected. You're not the person they thought they could control. You've become something else entirely. And in that moment, the full weight of their mistake comes crashing down. They realize they didn't just lose you, they created something they'll spend the rest of their lives fearing. They'll reach out trying to fix it. They'll apologize, explain, beg for forgiveness. But by then, it's too late. The damage is done. Your silence, your growth, your strength, it's already shown them everything they need to know. They'll live with the knowledge that their actions didn't destroy you. They only built you into something they can never reach, something they can never control, something they'll never forget. This is the moment they see you for what you've become, the beast they forced you to be. And now, they'll live with the regret of ever pushing you to this point. Here you are now, stronger, unshaken, unstoppable. The person they tried to break no longer exists. In their place stands someone they'll never forget. They thought their actions would define you. They thought their betrayal would be the end of your story. But they were wrong. Their disrespect didn't destroy you, it rebuilt you into something greater. You don't need their apologies. You don't need their approval. You don't even need their regret. Because you've realized something they never understood. Your strength was never tied to their action. Your power was always yours. While they live with the weight of their choices, you're free. Free to grow, free to succeed, free to move forward without looking back. Every step you take now is a reminder that you control your own path. They don't. They never did. This is your moment. The moment where you let go of the pain, the betrayal, the need to prove anything to anyone. You've already won. Not because of what they did, but because of what you chose to do with it. They'll watch from the sidelines as you rise higher, as you achieve what they thought you never could. Every success you earn, every victory you claim, will remind them of what they lost. But this isn't about them. This is about you, about your strength, your resilience, your ability to overcome everything they threw at you and still come out stronger. They made a mistake, and now they'll live with it. But you'll live without them. You'll thrive without their noise, their drama, their game. You've built a life they'll never be a part of, and that is your true victory. This is the beast they forced you to become, and now they'll live with the regret of ever pushing you to this point. But you'll keep moving forward, unbothered, unstoppable, and untouchable. Let them live in the shadow of their choices while you live in the light of your growth. Because in the end, they didn't break you, they built you into the strongest version of yourself. And now, you are everything they could never be. This is your story, your power, your triumph. And the person you've become, that's your greatest revenge.